Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a good week so far. I'm going to change it up a little bit this week and I'm going to show you what sold, but I'm not going to show you eBay today. I'm going to do that on Friday. And today is all going to be the other platforms that we sell on. They have been performing very, very well, and you may or may not be surprised at what the top one is. So if you do not know, eBay is by far our top selling platform. It outshines everything else by a lot. However, these other platforms, and I'm going to show you our insights and our stats for each platform so you can see for yourself what we are making there. I think you're going to be surprised at what number 2 is. And if you don't know, we do sell eBay, we sell Poshmark, Mercari, Etsy, as well as live on Whatnot and on District, on Knickknacks, as well as Commons. And I'm not going to go over the live selling. That's just we sell a whole in volume there. So not as much profit, but more volume. And I will say that cross-posting for us brings us quite a bit more income, and you're going to see that today. So if you've been thinking about cross-posting, we use List Perfectly. I do have a code, the Nurse Flipper. You can use that. You can get 30% off of your first month. And in my opinion, if you use it and utilize it, you will see a return on that pretty much immediately. And it is, for us, an essential investment into our business. And I'm going to make a List Perfectly video. That is not what this is. I just saw how many sales we had recently on the other platforms and realized it's enough for a video on its own. But if you do want to try it, you can do it manually, which doesn't cost you anything. You just need to be really careful. Make sure you mark items sold and remove them off the other platforms once they sell. You do not get in trouble for that. There's no penalty for that. And when I show each of these platforms, I will let you know what the fees are there, as well as if it does cost money to list there. That way you'll know that as well. And we'll go over a little bit of Poshmark's, like sharing and offers and things like that as well when we do Poshmark, which I think I'm probably going to do Poshmark first for you. And yeah, so we'll go over that as well, but you can use List Perfectly. There are multiple other companies that are out there. We've used List Perfectly for almost 4 years now exclusively. Absolutely love them. And there are some lower cost ones. There are some that are higher as well. We love the AI feature that creates listings from photos, and I'll pop the video up. If you haven't seen that, it is absolutely amazing. It is nothing like any other AI you have seen. Anyways, I've rambled enough. Let's go ahead and we'll jump to my closet insights over on Poshmark, and I'll show you the numbers of exactly what we've sold for this whole year. All right, so I really wanted to show you like last month or the last 30 days, but Poshmark doesn't have that as an option. It either has the year or the current month, which only gives me 10 days since I'm recording this on the 10th. So what I did was pull up for this year, and I will go ahead and spoiler alert it right now. Poshmark is our number 2 selling platform. And I'm going to go through just a few things here. Like I said, if you're thinking about selling on some of these platforms, Poshmark's nice because it does give you insights. I'm going to show you like what categories are selling the best for us, as well as brands. So for this year, we've sold almost $8,000 on Poshmark, and we're just a little under half. So I would expect this to be very, very close to $20,000 for the year on Poshmark, if not more. It should theoretically go up and Q4 when everybody's holiday shopping. So you can see January was 2,000, February 14, almost 14 in March, 1,200 April, over 1,400 in May, and June has just started and we're already at 345. So definitely a platform that can perform very, very well. So if you want to talk about sharing and things like that, the nice thing with List Perfectly is it has built-in closet sharing. It also has built-in send offers. It has built-in follow. All of the social stuff, I do none of it manually. All of that is done by List Perfectly. And again, there are other companies that do that as well if you want to check them out. I only know List Perfectly because that's all we use. So here, this is nice because it gives you the brand insights. You can see Louis Vuitton is our highest, followed by Nike. Vintage items, which is going to be those one-off collectibles. I typically put the brand as vintage on those if they're not a name brand item. Christian Louboutin, Off-White, unbranded, Coach, Tiffany, Wooden, Yadro. I'm not going to read all of them, but it's nice because it breaks it down so you can see exactly what is selling in particular categories. All right, so here are our sales insights. You can see the categories, which this I think is really important. And it's funny because I like to pick up men's clothing more than women's. I rarely pick up women's clothing, but women is our top selling category of $3,710. So that includes anything in women's. It can be handbags, accessories, jewelry, clothes, and we have been doing a lot of jewelry. And then home is next. So a lot of you might be like, oh, I don't sell clothes or shoes or purses, and think, oh, I'm not going to list on Poshmark. Well, I urge you to reconsider that, because you can see here $2,400 of our sales have been home, and then men is the lowest at $1,375 of the three highest. I don't do a ton of kids stuff, but we have sold 300, and electronics and pets kind of the same thing. Now here, the nice thing is you can see the average sales price in each of those categories. So for women, our average sales price is 42, men it's 40, electronics 30, home it's 29, kids 27, pets is 17. So on eBay, our average sales price is nowhere near this. So we are getting a higher average sales price over on Poshmark, which is pretty interesting. I'm not going to click on listing sold. I don't think that really matters. But if you look here, you can see that 84% of the sales were not new with tags. Only 14% were new with tags. The boutique is brand new, never used. That's only 1%. This, I think, is a really important aspect of Poshmark. And I talk about this when we do the Tuesday night podcast. And that's that the majority of our sales come from offers. So you can see here, 71% of our sales came from offers, whether they were sent to the buyer, and the majority of them were, or the buyer sent us an offer. So List Perfectly has where I can automatically, if somebody watches it, it automatically sends an offer out to them. I think I do 20 or 25% off. And then only 20, just shy of 25% sold buy it now. And then 3.5 was people bundling things together. Here's something where you can kind of track yourself. So this is our listings posted. And you can see here, like the first, I posted almost 50. So we've got over 50 going out pretty much every day. Today, we're only at 37. So listing consistently and making sure you are getting stuff up on these platforms every day is important. I have been trying to do at least 10 on Etsy, because I do not transfer everything to Etsy, and I'll talk about that when we get there. So here's another thing that's nice. It's got the brand insights, and this is telling me what's in my inventory. So unbranded, I have almost $30,000 in stuff. Vintage stuff is $23,000. Handmade's almost $15,000. Navajo $5,000. Nike $5,000. Sterling is $4,000. So it's just nice to be able to see these different breakdowns. If eBay has this function, I have not found it, and I like how easy it is to find it on Posh. All right, so with that, I know I showed you a lot, but again, if you're thinking about selling, I think that having these reports available, and all I'm in is my closet insights, and then you can click the different things, is a nice little benefit to have. And it does not cost anything to list on Poshmark, 0% to list. They do take 20%. For me on eBay with promoting, a lot of things pay more than 20%. So I'm okay with the 20% on Poshmark. Just keep that in mind if you don't have that big of a margin, between your buying and selling price. That's why we say you make your money on the buy. I try and be between 10 and 20% of what I'm going to sell something for. So it's free to list. It doesn't cost you anything. And I think, honestly, I bet everybody has something that would sell on Poshmark. All right, we're starting off with a not so great sale, but I wanted to show you this because it's something that was on eBay for a long, long time and didn't sell. And it sold on Poshmark for $14. It's only an $8 payout. I did give a discount on shipping. I am okay with that, but I wanted to show you that the houseware stuff will sell. And this is 5 Indiana glass cups, carnival glass. It's not something I would pick up again. Honestly, if I got these cups in a lot, I still don't think I would list them. This is something I think I would give away. However, if you're selling it's just you, it might be worth it to you to sell these. That is something you have to decide for yourself if that profit margin is enough for you to list and ship these. Next up is one I think might surprise a lot of you. This is a tapestry runner. It sold for $29. Payout was $21. I only paid $2.99 for this at the thrift store, so it's an $18 profit. I do very well with my linens and my housewares on Poshmark, and that's a big part of what makes up our sales there. So really, really good sale on this and a good profit. This one was not branded. I just felt it and could feel it was really thick and high quality and a really, really good sale. Next up is this Valentino Orlandi studded double zip crossbody camera bag or purse. It was new. This one sold for $32. I got it in a big buyout and we had actually pulled it thinking that we were going to do a whatnot. And I was like, you know what? If they're worth over $30, I'm going to list them. This one sold fast in only a couple weeks. So keep an eye out for Orlandi Valentino. I had a couple of them and they both have sold already. And it was a $28 payout. That big designer buy I bought is already in the profit. So that 28 is profit. And I don't think we would have got $32 for this over on a live sale because the sales, we might have got about half of that if I had to take a guess. So we do sell some purses and shoes. We do sell that traditional stuff that Poshmark is well known for, but we also sell quite a bit. You can see here though, I want to really impress this. The MSRP on this was $229 and we got $32. So never use that MSRP as a gauge of what it's going to sell for or what you're willing to pay for it, because a lot of times that value just does not hold. Next up is some Crocs. I have been selling tons of Croc sandals, all non-traditional Crocs. These were strappy wedge sandals, size 10, sold for $20. Payout was $16. I paid $4, so $12 profit in under a month. I do very, very well with all Crocs, but the non-traditional ones seem to sell quite a bit faster for me. I do find these in the thrift stores pretty often, and these came out though. I got a bunch at it's like a giant yard sale. It's called Junk in the Trunk here in Florida, and they've been selling very, very fast. Next up is one that I paid up for, and that is a Lily Pulitzer dress. And I paid up for it because it's summer and I thought this print would sell pretty fast. So this one was at a thrift store. It was originally priced $30 and I got it for 60% off because they had it with their Easter stuff. So I only paid $12 for this. So it's about a $22, $23 profit. Sold in under a month though. So I was spot on thinking that pattern would be popular. Watch for Lily Pulitzer. Quite a few of her pieces sell over the $50 point. So I always look at them, even if they're, $10, $12, $15, I am okay paying that if they have the value there. And some of her pieces do not. So you definitely have to try and find the exact piece that you are looking at. Next up is a signed John Hardy silver tone finish butterfly hair clip or scarf brooch. This one sold for $20. Payout was $16. I got this in a big jewelry lot. I paid about $5, so it's only an $11 profit. Watch for John Hardy though, because quite a few of his pieces are at a higher price point. So there you can see that it is signed. We're showing it from the front. Show that signature up close. And again, depending on the design and how rare the actual piece you have is, some of these can be quite valuable. Next up is a Wrangler men's blue denim short sleeve button down pearl snap shirt. Got this for $1 at the thrift store. The thing about this is it is new with tags. So finding that for the $1 is really, really great. And it was a $20 payout, so $19 profit on this one, and it sold relatively fast. Western shirts is another thing. We are in a very rural area of North Florida, so we find quite a bit of Western items, especially the pearl snap button-up shirts, and this one was a fast sale and a good profit. All right, so now we're over to Mercari, and Mercari is actually the lowest performing platform for us for this year. And Mercari's fees with their transaction fee run about 12%. So Mercari and Etsy are both lower on the fees than eBay and Poshmark are, which is really, really nice. So I do accept lower offers on Mercari. We do not technically accept offers on Etsy, but very, very rarely people will message us and ask. And a lot of times I do accommodate those because of those lower fees. So for the last month, we've only done $348 over on Mercari. So that's about a third of what we have done on Poshmark and way less than a tenth of what we have done on eBay. We are at 15,000 for the last 30 days on eBay to give you an idea. Mercari is up and down though, and with List Perfectly, it only takes me about 10 seconds per listing to put them up. I at some point, if it stays this low, might reevaluate whether we are going to continue posting there, but it's so quick. I am okay with that. I will click here and show you the last year. We have done almost $5,000. So it's not that negligible when you look at it over a 12-month time span. I don't want to judge anything off of only a month or two. And average sales price here is $26.87, which is close to what we do on eBay as well. So there isn't a higher sales average here like you would see on Poshmark, but you can see the last week we've done 200 of those $358 or 84, whatever it was. So Mercari has been picking up the last week for us. I've only got a couple of sales that I've not yet shown you to show you on Mercari, but I did, again, I wanted to go over, show you the reports, and it is free to list on Mercari just like it is on Poshmark. So it doesn't cost you anything to try it out. And if you're using a cross-posting service, it's very, very minimal amount of time once you make that listing for your primary platform to switch it over and add it to these other ones. All right, so the first sale on Mercari I wanted to show you is another dollar thrift store buy. This is an Izod men's V-neck sweater vest. And I accepted a best offer of $17. I only paid $1, so it's a $14 profit and did not take very long to sell. So here you can see I do okay with Izod. I'm all right with $1 into 17. I do try to hit the $25 price point if I can, but if I see something nice for $1, it's hard to leave it behind. Next up is a Silpada necklace, and we have actually done very well with these on all of the platforms. This is a Silpada textured sterling silver badge of beauty. It is on a leather necklace, not a sterling necklace, still sold for $34.99. I got a big lot of Silpata on an estate auction. So this one's about a $25 profit and sold in under a couple of months. So if you don't know the Silpata name, definitely remember it. And I'm going to show you their mark here because you may have found it and did not know you had found it. And here is, there's that marking. It's almost like a little arrowhead. It's the two arrows in the diamond shape. If you find pieces with that on it, they are Silpata. Make sure that you put that in your title and your listing because people look for Silpata. And I do find that my name jewelry does tend to sell a little bit faster than non-branded jewelry, but the non-branded jewelry, if you can keyword it well, will sell also. All right, we are moving on to Etsy, and I have just in the past 6 months or so started reposting to Etsy. I'm just being a little more particular. I think I have a little under 400 listings on Etsy, and I have 8,000 on eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, to give you an idea. And that's because it costs 20 cents per listing for each 4-month period. So 5 cents a month, but that can add up. If you have thousands and thousands of listings, Etsy does not have a store option like eBay does. So I have been more particular about what I am putting on there. And I have noticed if I make sure to put some listings up on Etsy at least once a day, that our sales are increasing. So here you can see we have done $2,000 on Etsy this year. So that's only a third of what we have done over on Poshmark. And again, for the year on eBay, we are well over 70,000 to give you an idea. So these platforms are definitely not as high performing, but I have friends that Etsy is their top platform. I have friends that Poshmark is their top platform, and I have friends that Mercari is their top platform. So it really depends on what you're selling, where your customer base, the biggest base, is going to be. But I like listing on all of them because the customers are different on these platforms. I think that's really important. If I compare this to last year, look at this. We were not really listing on Etsy, so we really didn't have any views on there. And here on Etsy, it can tell me I've had 600 item favorites, 21 people are following me, 5 reviews, no repeat buyers. I do have it turned on to send thank you offers. So if they purchase something for me, they'll get an email with a discount code to buy something again. And it's kind of crazy. I had 90 abandoned carts, $8,000. And they did send out offers to those buyers if they abandoned the items in the shopping cart, which is a nice feature that Etsy has as well. So here you can see that Etsy brought 65% of my visits, and it brought me 2740, where direct traffic that I brought there was 981. Social media only brought 41. A lot of people think, oh, you do YouTube, it gets you so many sales. That is simply really overall not the case. Our viewer sales are way less than 5% overall, at least that we know of. I'm sure some people buy and don't tell us. And yeah, so you can see that here on Etsy as well, which is nice. Here, it's kind of cool. It shows me how many views the items got. This Cabbage Patch had 175 views, and it sold here on Etsy. But this Gillette razor has been viewed 121 times and hasn't sold. So here, the Jim Thompson bag also sold. That was high. So you can see which items are being viewed the most. And you might want to lower your prices, and maybe then these items would sell. So I might take a look at this at some point. And these ones that are getting high views, try lowering those prices and see if I can get a sale on them. So the thing I like about Etsy is that it's almost always high dollar sales, because that is the type of thing that I am putting up there. And this is a single hair clip that sold for $129. I only paid about $5 for this. I did not pay much. It is over $100 profit. So here you can see pretty simplistic but beautiful turquoise and coral on this one. and really, really excellent sale on Etsy. And again, when I see Etsy sales, I'm always happy because I know it pretty much is guaranteed to be a higher sale. So the other nice thing about Etsy is there's no offers. And as I said a little bit earlier, people very, very rarely will message me and ask me if I'll take less. But for the most part, people just buy stuff. And that's something I definitely like about Etsy. And the fees are lower. So they're around 12 to 14%. So lower than eBay and Poshmark. This is a wooden Allen cigar checkers trinket jewelry box. It does have game pieces that were hand painted, and this one sold for $49.99. I only paid $5. So this one is about a $38 profit, and we'll take a look at it here. Really, really cool box, tiny little checker pieces in there. So that's why I put jewelry box, because I figured somebody could kind of repurpose this if they wanted. Here you can see it was originally a cigar box. We did zoom in on that. Pretty cool that somebody just painted that checkerboard there. And again, I put trinket and jewelry because this one easily could be repurposed. Next up is a really, really cool Art Nouveau lampshade. I did put glass chandelier tulip. This one sold for $49.99. That is for a single one. I just picked up one not as cool as this, but pretty close, for just $4 at the thrift store. This one was bought on an online auction though for about $10. So this one is about a $33 to $35 profit. Sold very, very fast though. And definitely keep your eye out, because some of these, if they're signed, are worth hundreds of dollars each. So do not neglect the lampshades. I think that's something that frequently gets overlooked in thrift stores, like quite a few other items. So if you're not already looking at them, give them a look. And normally a lot of times I find them in like the hardware section. So here you can see that lamp, really, really cool lampshade. And this one sold in just shy of 2 months. Next up is one that might surprise you guys. And this one, I was the only bidder on this lot in an online estate auction. So I got these for $5. They sold for $69.99. I did lot them up because they were worth about $15 to $20 each. And I'm like, let me just put them together. Somebody really just wanted 2 of these. And I'm like, no, I'm not separating them. So they bought them all. So sold for $69.99. Absolutely incredible. About a $58 profit. And I put vintage wooden handle hammer tool set lot, rusted steampunk industrial barn deco. There are your keywords. People could use these for decor. They could use them to use them. They could do whatever they want with them. So this one here you can see is a channel lock and a Samson. So a couple of them were named, and really, really pretty fast sale, under 3 months, and a really excellent profit. Next up is a lunchbox, and we've sold quite a few. So this is a Slipknot metal lunchbox. It was made in 2000. So in order to go on Etsy, items need to be over 20 years old. So 2005 is allowed and older. And I don't know why it says the 70s. So please ignore that. I do have in the description and the title, it was from 2000. Now, here you can see it definitely had wear, and we do try to show that. And it does say read in our title. There's that 2000 as well. So this one, I got in a big lot of lunch boxes for $5. So it's pretty close to a $30 profit. All right, next up is something I really love, and that is Oaxaca, I believe. It is a vintage dripware Mexican tourist pottery. I got this at the thrift store for just a couple of dollars, and it sold for $50 on Etsy. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Not your typical Oaxaca. What I'm used to is like their animals. You can see very, very clearly marked. And this is a beautiful piece. I knew the Oaxaca animals were worth a lot, so I went ahead and picked this up, and I'm really, really glad that I did. This one kind of surprised me. It's actually an unbranded, simple sterling silver knot tie clip. I did put Dad. Father's Day is coming up. So happy Father's Day to those of you that are dads coming up this weekend. This tie clip I got for $5. It sold for $35, $24 profit. Pretty fast too. So super happy with this one. You can see it was simply marked silver 925, no brand. And typically I haven't done very well with tie clips, so I might want to try and put my other tie clips over here to Etsy. This one I think is one of my favorite sales out of this video. This is a vintage Velvet Sheen Fat City t-shirt, will shine, class of 79. I did put FSU because this is FSU colors. I picked this up in an estate sale for only $1 and it sold for $100. So $1 into $100, absolutely amazing. $85 profit or so. And this one I knew when I saw it. I was like, this is something. So watch for those Velvet Sheen tags. And this was just a really, really cool Fat Will Shine in 79. Really cool logo and really, really neat find at an estate sale. Last up for the video, this is a vintage thermos. I always see these and I think they're money and they're really not money, but I'm glad I put this on Etsy because typically I don't put lower stuff like this there. So this one sold for $20. I picked it up for $1 at an estate sale, about a $15 profit. Took a little bit longer though. I think this one took about 6 or 8 months. I don't know. I probably will not pick up any more of these unless I see sets that I could lot up together and get a higher sales price. All right, my friends, that was everything. I hope this kind of opened your eyes to the other platforms and that I gave you enough information to hopefully make an informed decision as to whether you want to start or not. Again, Mercari and Poshmark, there's no fees to start listing your items there, so it can't hurt. Doesn't take very much time if you're using a cross-listing service. Do it yourself if you want for a little bit. That way you're not paying for it. And if you see some sales roll in, I would consider a cross-posting service. My code, again, if you would like to try List Perfectly, is the Nurse Flipper, all one word. You'll get 30% off your first month, and you'll be able to tell that first month whether it's something that will be a valuable asset to your business or not. I really, really appreciate you watching. Hit the thumbs up, share with your friends if you think they would like, and I will see you on the next one.